Right.
I am now.
Yeah.
Hereby call this meeting between the negotiating team of the Boston Teachers Association, Boston School Committee to order for the purpose of negotiating the successor contract to the current contract which has expired on 31st, 2024. I'd like to welcome everybody and remind everybody here and on Zoom that the mission of the Gloucester Public Schools for all students to be successful, engaged, lifelong learners. Also want to take note that Grant Harris is our recording guy tonight. And maybe we can go around the table and introduce ourselves. So starting to my right.
For a recent school committee.
Rich Francis, GHS and GTA.
Matthew Lewis, O'Malley and Vice President of GTA.
Rachel Rex, I'm the GTA president and a Gloucester High School teacher.
Aaron Blanchett, MTA staff.
Margaret Rudolph, West Parish, Sarah.
Dan Graham, social worker at O'Malley.
Nick DePardo, a field rep with the MTA.
Ruth Flaherty, East Vets.
Emily Harney, GHS.
Michelle Bailey, O'Malley. Mark Hurst, West Parish.
Harry Donahue, Plum Cove School.
Roberta Euston, Human Resource.
Ben Lemon, Superintendent.
Peggy Council.
Kathy Clancy, School Committee.
Great. Thank you all very much. I'm going to deliver a quick message and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague. We have great educators and staff who care a ton about the work being done to support our students. The common goal: continue to strengthen teaching and learning, deepen student engagement and belonging, and improve academic achievement. Our collective bargaining agreement is to fully support this primary purpose and be sustainable within our community's financial needs.
So we're going to start where we left off last time, which was with our proposal on Article 6. The goal of our, which is your proposal 8. The goal of our proposal is to increase time for professional collaboration to strengthen student learning. Last meeting, we gave you counters related to the workday in the middle and high schools, and we started discussing timing at the elementary schools. And we're going to start there with elementary today. And do we want to hand out what we're doing now, or you want to wait a little bit? Want to hand out the proposal? Okay, not yet?
Yeah, I think it may be confusing.
Okay, well, I'll start then. So we heard last meeting and we were listening. We've heard in past negotiations.
do this.
I'm gonna show this. Wait, I'll wait.
Yeah, no, I,
Tell me when you want me to show the slides on.
okay,
So you guys have documents for us?
we do.
We do.
Just, I'm gonna give you a heads up for those of you who haven't. Matt, my name is Nick. It's my at the end today.
No,
So you're gonna have to give me a little bit of grace today, right? So I may need to play a little bit of catch up so you can hear where you got for us, but we're gonna have to caucus and talk about some of these.
Oh,
We can give you more than a little too.
Right, and then we will, we have something for you guys.
Great, thank you.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna share a presentation. And then we'll give you the language that corresponds with what we discussed in the presentation. So we have, we have concrete counter proposal language in there, but we want to just share the presentation first.
There a reason we can't have that language first?
We could, I do think,
I think just listening will be helpful first.
because otherwise I think you might be just fumbling between the two and sequentially it kind of makes sense to do it, I think, this way.
I'm gonna keep going. So we heard last meeting and we've heard in previous negotiations that elementary teachers don't have enough time for professional collaboration and professional responsibility. Heard the same about middle school as well, but I'm focusing here on elementary. We've been looking closely at the reasons for this, and it's clear that there's a structural issue that is making finding the time difficult. And we all know that this time is so important for student learning and student outcomes. So we want to discuss that now, as well as some solutions we're thinking about. And just to say, this is our best thinking now, but we are looking forward to working with you to come up with a way to sort of find this time and make this work. So this is something we can do together and work together to find solutions to improve student outcomes. We know that you, as the professionals working together, collaborating, sharing best practices are one of the most important factors in improving student learning. So we want to be sure there's ample time for you to do that. Okay, so here's the beginning of this presentation. These are the interests that we're addressing today. On the elementary level, providing a structure to allow for as much time as possible during the workday for planning, professional collaboration, and professional responsibilities, and limiting the wide differences in planning and professional collaboration time between grade levels. That's the elementary. At O'Malley, we must meet the state required minimum for student learning time, which we are currently not. And we have to provide more structured professional collaboration time. So the goals here are to address the structural issues that result in unequal amounts of planning and professional collaboration time across the schools. Ensure O'Malley meets the state minimum requirements for student learning time. And work with GTA members to find solutions on how to use time effectively to reach our collective goal of improving student learning.
So we're going to show everyone just some data and some information that sort of demonstrates or explains the structural problem as we're looking at this, both in our district and then also helpful looking at other districts as well. So what you see here is professional collaboration and planning time as the contract allows for. And really there on the left in the crimson cream columns there. So in the preschool is not defined in the CBA, what collaboration or professional collaboration or planning time that's allowed. For K to 5, it allows for 3 hours and 20 minutes per week, which is very different than O'Malley, which the contract allows for 5 hours and 40 minutes per week, plus 60 minutes of duties. And then at the high school, 6 hours and 24 minutes per week of planning and professional collaboration time. Those are explained on the right-hand side in the white columns and broken down into planning, preparation time, professional collaboration time, and duties. Okay, but you can see that there's between the elementary and O'Malley, if I'm doing my math correct, is 2 hours and 20 minutes per week, and then between O'Malley and the high school. Looks like about 45 minutes per week. And the difference between elementary and high school is over 3 hours per week.
Okay, so this just kind of lays it out graphically. You can see that the preschool is, as we say, undefined right now as in the contract, but we have language that had been proposed. K through 5 is the work day, not the school day. The work day is 6 hours and 17 minutes. The middle school is 6 hours and 32 minutes. The high school is 6 hours and 52 minutes. The elementary and preschool have a shorter work day than Gloucester High School teachers and O'Malley teachers. 105 fewer hours than Gloucester High School teachers during a 180-day school year. 45 fewer hours than O'Malley teachers during the school year. And O'Malley has 20 minutes shorter workday than Gloucester High School, resulting in 60 fewer hours than Gloucester High School teachers during the 180-day school year. We looked at other districts, which we always do for, academic results and other things that we always analyze along with same comparison. One is the DART districts and the other is neighboring or North Shore school districts. And we have researched, and 7 districts have the same workday across all 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high. 4 more have the same workday for middle and high school. So you can see the same workday is in Rockland, Falmouth, Westfield, Danvers, Manchester, Essex, Marblehead, and Beverly. And the same workday for middle and high school, Leominster, Medford, Hamilton, Wetham, and Ruff. And again, you'll see that the Gloucester preschool is undefined. Gloucester Elementary is 6 hours, 17 minutes. O'Malley is 6 hours, 32 minutes, and the high school is 6 hours and 2 minutes.
So what we're looking at today is desire to have a uniform workday across all the schools. Making the teacher workday consistent across all levels allows for preschool teachers to have more time for professional collaboration and participation in IEP meetings that aren't during class time. Elementary teachers to have more professional collaboration time and planning that would put them on par with O'Malley and GHS colleagues. And finally, O'Malley to meet the state required student learning time minimum and have more professional collaboration time.
Now, I'll explain the proposal to address the concerns that we raised. And then we'll share with you the the contract language proposal that has it. But in order to, let's just go through this. So this is for elementary preschool. Here we're sort of assuming that at this point, even though the preschool day isn't defined by the contract, that it would be comparable to what the elementary school is defined as currently, okay? So what the school committee is proposing is to go from 170 minutes per week of planning and preparation time. This is teacher-directed planning and preparation time that exists already, and increase that to 220 minutes per week. Right now, there's no professional collaboration time that's directed by teachers. I mean, the contract doesn't allow for that. Okay, and this is time consultation, working with teammates, working with special education teachers or special education general education working together. But that's as defined by the teachers in how you want to collaborate with your colleagues. And the school committee was proposing going from 0 minutes during the workday to 55 minutes per week. And then professional collaboration time directed by administrator. Right now, through agreement in sort of in annual votes at the elementary school, that's 30 minutes per week. And school committee is proposing to increase that to 60 minutes per week. So it would go from 3 hours and 20 minutes per week, current by today's current contract, and increase that to make it comparable to the middle school at 5 hours, 35 minutes per week. And this would result, this would result in more teacher-directed planning and professional collaboration time. And then also would allow for more time for during the workday for professional collaboration during the teacher workday, which is a combination of teacher-directed and administrator-directed.
Would it just be possible to push this back so our silent reps are able to see it?
We have a microphone problem,
That, yeah, the coincidentally, so.
but you probably can turn it.
Slide this way, just as.
Yeah, I can try to pull this over. You might be able to know what I mean? If you, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
That better?
is that better?
Yeah.
We can share and
We'll
post
send
this
it.
as well.
Yeah,
Yep,
thanks,
actually during the meeting, we do that.
thanks.
No problem. Thanks, Matt. And then, so to go a little deeper into that, and again, this is, what we're proposing and want to work with you on this is, one possible approach is instead of, for elementary preschool, that the professional time outside of the school day, this is part of the teacher work day, but outside the school day, could be organized as follows. Okay, so it's effectively used for planning and professional collaboration. It can be concentrated on 3 days. So 1 hour for teacher planning and preparation. That's teacher directed. 55 minutes for teacher directed to professional collaboration with colleagues. And then 1 hour for professional collaboration directed by school administrators. And schools, we're proposing the schools would schedule which days these would occur on. And whether the time was before or after the school day. This is preschool and elementary school. But that would, could be determined at the school level. For instance, it's pretty reasonable that with a 9 o'clock start, folks would rather have that time on the early part of the day rather than later. And then the elementary preschool teacher planning preparation period you have now would remain the same. So it's really, this is additional during the teacher workday. And then the last piece with O'Malley, this sort of builds in our earlier proposal to eliminate the 250-minute maximum for teaching time. Again, that's so scheduling can better meet student needs. It also helps to get to the state minimum required learning time. We are 30 hours short at this point of student instructional learning time. We need to be 990 hours by state requirement, and we're at 960. That equals 10 minutes per day. Folks are doing the math. So we would add, proposing to add 10 minutes of student learning time per day in order to meet the state required minimums, and then concentrate the additional 50 minutes gained per week with the O'Malley teacher workday on 1 day for professional collaboration. And that's, I believe that's teacher directed professional collaboration, I think. So we can pass these out. So
Yeah, one of the best.
yeah, so happy to, I'll leave it up to committee. We're gonna pass out the proposal the language now. And what this is, just to, is it's all of, there are a variety of proposals on Article 6, both from GTA and the school committee, and we've combined those into this one document, which has, our proposals, your proposals, our counters from last time, the counters in that represent this presentation here. And so it should be sort of a comprehensive document on Article 6.
Do we want to send that?
Yeah, we'll,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
can work on that too.
Yeah, yeah, we'll, yeah, we should, yeah. Yes.
Um,
Yeah, we, as a matter of course, we'll, so just remind me if you don't get it, but we like to simply, yeah.
Is there anything specific here you guys wanted to highlight or?
Good question. Simple answer. Do you want to?
yeah. Let me just sort of categorize what we're trying to do with each section, basically. That might be helpful. And you should help me with this too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, the first page, section A, that's, the committee's, language on making a teacher work, the contract, the teacher workday consistent across all levels. Okay. That supersedes and really is a counter to, section A, which is on top of page 2, replaces that. Okay. We've gone back and forth on some different iterations. Folks had voiced displeasure with this notion of section A, the way the committee originally proposed it. So section A on the first page replaces that. Then go to the next one, which is number 2 on page 2. It goes on to page 3. This is something we shared verbally, I guess it was probably last school year, and then gave to you in writing on the 22nd, and then just, it's copied in here again, basically. Okay, that makes sense. PG proposal 8. So this is on the bottom of page 3. Those first 2 sections, which are Gloucester High School and O'Malley, that's just a reprinting of the counters we gave to you and discussed with you the last time we met on the 22nd. And that goes page 3, page 4. Page 3, and then on page 4, that's your proposal with our counters in it on the 240 minutes per day. And it also includes a counter from us on page 5. Sorry, if I'm going too fast, tell me. Sorry, I know I'm going fast. On page 5, F is a school committee counter that relates to with the presentation we just talked about. So that's on page 5, F in the middle of the page, on the 15-minute period for teacher-directed professional collaboration. And then moving on, page 6 is in the middle there. That's actually top of the page really is the school committee's counter on below about daily preparation. And that's the language around the additional time during the teacher workday for those different periods we talked about. More time for teacher planning, more time for teacher directed professional collaboration, and then time for professional collaboration directed by principal or principal's designee. And then on the last page, page 7, is our original proposal to define the Gloucester preschool day. As we said in the presentation, it's not defined. It's never been defined in CBA. That's something we proposed in April, and then added on F this part about the same language on those 3 sort of periods for planning and professional collaboration. So I hope that's helpful. That's just to highlight that. And
There's a lot there.
Yes.
I digest it in August. One thing that I've done in anticipation, I think in my first 4 days, right, is to try to get up to speed on where things stand and what's outstanding, right? So we can try to figure out the path forward, right? So that's one thing we brought for you today is just by our count, like the proposals we have or the portions of proposals we have that haven't been responded to yet. Maybe that we can do this now. And go to the caucus and talk about some of this stuff and some other items that we intended to bring forward today. You guys will look at this and see if you have responses on most or all of these things, right? Because that'll help us plan for the next session. Okay. So I don't think we need to run through every single one.
I guess, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I won't run through all of them. You've seen all of this language before, nothing is new. There's 16 items with the 16th being all the financial items kind of lumped together. Like the first more straightforward language provisions that you've seen before, we've talked about before, and hopefully. Guys,
You may not know the answer to this, but, something you'd given us. Do you know how this compares to the one Anthony did?
Yeah, I had the same question.
It was
So
quite
there-
comprehensive.
Yeah, so there were, remember you guys had a comprehensive document, it was quite useful.
It was really helpful.
That had, I think, pretty much everything in there. There may have been a committee or two, I'm not sure. But I know it was a really
It was just
good
for the-
shot at
just
getting
for the last
in
session.
there. Yeah, it was
Just
just
for
for,
the August
yeah.
22nd session.
So this is from that. I just pulled out the things that said no response or hold. But all the language.
Okay,
Got it. Okay.
This is nothing new. I just tried to streamline it for you, so you got one sheet of paper.
Got it.
okay.
So. Caucus?
We're gonna caucus.
All right, thanks.
Text you.
Yeah.
on with the wire that is here, and then this wireless mic that's got a wireless receiver to the speaker right behind the TV.
That's curious.
Any possible feedback, echo?
All right. Yeah, sure. Did we send it? Oh, you did. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, I can look at it.
It's the server.
All right. Do you have any responses for the packet that we provided for you? Yeah. Do you have any responses for the packet? This guy over here.
I think I can be loud. Yeah, exactly. First of all, want to thank Nick for putting it together. Certainly want to. And some grace to be the first night and appreciate the work that you put into this, bringing everything together. We've looked at it. The one area that we think we responded to is 11, 12, and today we responded to 13 with our presentation. The rest, we're just going to have, we need some more time to collaborate on our side to come up with some definitive answers on this. We do have a counter on number 14, which is membership sign-up distribution. And that would be to strike the last sentence. The employer shall forward completed forms to the union as soon as reasonably possible.
Yeah,
What's it?
and yep, so strike the last sentence, and I can send this in an email, so it's in writing, because that's been our practice, so just not a chance to do that, yeah, you know. That put it in a document to some, send it along, but yes, but the counter otherwise would be on 14 to accept everything but the last sentence, which we would strike. That paragraph.
The other 11 or 12 items here, you've had for a while.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The other 11 or,
Use the microphone.
the other 11 or 12 items here. The other 11 or 12 items here you've had for a while. When can we expect responses on these things? Right, we're just trying to fill out at least an initial position from the employer on every issue, so that we can figure out what the path forward is.
Well, I think Matt and Bill, Matt's there. Have, before each meeting, they have decided what proposals are going to be discussed. So we came into, right?
We came in tonight thinking you wanted to discuss health, staff and student health and safety.
We're gonna have stuff.
Okay,
Right.
good.
So can we get to those things?
Yeah,
Hold on.
We will get to those things.
yeah.
I think our ask, right, is
You want
can
to,
we have an initial response on these items sooner rather than later?
we can certainly work on these. We know they're important to you, the FMLA and the rest of them are certainly important. It's getting to them at some point. In the future.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a question for council. Like, this is session 8 on the books. Like, counselor, like, what is, like, I guess I'm confused. Like, is the employer not going to respond to these?
I don't know why you're confused. That's not what we just said.
I guess it just begs the question, like, at what point?
I don't know why this is directed at me too. I mean, I'm happy to have this discussion with you. You just heard a response from Bill in terms of what our intention would be. We just got these people in a chance to look at them tonight, request, meaning,
Hold on.
no, not.
Let him finish.
Let me
Let him
finish. I know we didn't just get them. I know, it's clearly, it's said inarticulately. So,
Try again.
yeah, so we have them, but we didn't know that this was going to be on the table for tonight. So we'll look at them and we'll respond accordingly.
Can you folks respond in writing before the end of the week? Because there's a fundamental question here, council, around like the employer's obligation to bargain in good faith. That's why I'm addressing you, because I think at the end of the day here, I don't think it was our expectation that the employer is going to continue to ignore any of the proposals that are being proposed by the union.
Yeah, let me say this.
If you all just reject them, that's, you're allowed to reject them. We're not compelling you folks to accept them. We'd like to negotiate over them. We set the agenda ahead of time so that we can dive deep into the things that we're prepared for. But I think what Nick's trying to do here, as he transitions, is I don't think it's unreasonable for the union to ask up or down.
And my retort to that would be that we had an agreed upon what we were gonna discuss. We weren't prepared to discuss these things. I think it's reasonable for you to say, or your team to say, when can we expect some responses to that? We're gonna work on that. We're not meeting every day to kind of go over the proposals. We spent a lot of time on the stuff we presented tonight, and we will spend a lot of time on the things that are listed in this document. Tonight is not that night for us.
And we're not ignoring.
Not ignoring it at
anything.
all.
I just want to be really clear. We are not ignoring any proposals that are coming from the unit, from the membership. These are important, complicated things. And so, and all of which need our focus and attention and collaboration. And, you know, it's totally fair to say we want responses to that. I totally get that. And we will, you know, over the summer, we didn't meet, we had hoped to meet, so we lost June, part of June, all of July, and we didn't meet till the end of August. So we're all so now we will go back to pushing on the things that are in it, which I'm taking to mean, these are the ones that you want responses to first.
I just want to say one last thing. It is for the public who is watching at home, right? It's really challenging for the union here after 8 sessions of which you've had these documents for a while. If you're unable to give us a response tonight, the only conclusion we can reach is that you folks have yet to talk about it already.
Well, I do want to point out that we did have a presentation on parental leave for educators. So we have presented that in the past. It's not as though we haven't talked about it.
Is that a response?
Yeah, but Eric, I don't
Just
think
a
that's
presentation.
fair, because we have had discussion on a whole number of the proposals that were in this document. That's different, of course, from a formal response. Perfectly well understand the request to have a formal response, and we will work on that. But that is most certainly different from the dialogue and discussion that we've had on these issues, which is incredibly valuable. So I don't want to diminish that.
So I may bring up something really quick. Over the summer, GTA spent time talking to members and talking to community members. Ones who have been in this room, ones who have been on computer. And the one thing they have said is that a lack of formal responses in writing, actual counters. Thank you for the presentation. Great to help you understand your side, but without this, it's frustrating to them. It's frustrating to us as well. So if we're gonna sit here and we're gonna say, we're gonna talk about this, bring the presentations, bring that, all that, great. But please have something ready for us. That's the only
And
request.
we did today.
Yeah.
And
You know,
I just have another-
and we have every single meeting discussed with you some substantive issues, presented you with counter proposals.
Yep.
There are a lot of proposals here, okay? So,
There are.
and the GTA decided not to negotiate during the summertime when we could have,
Brought that up.
when we could have had more time to meet and give you more counter proposals, okay? So listen, I understand your schedules, you couldn't meet, I get that, okay? But this sense, this implication that we haven't continued to give written counter proposals, continue to engage, significantly on the content and subject of proposals is a false claim. Okay, it is false.
Why did we hand you a
No,
stack?
let's just let it go.
And what we'd
So
really
my-
like to do is actually get to what the agreed upon agenda tonight and make some progress on it. with exchange of proposals that are written.
Like,
But for some reason, we are debating.
I'd like Attorney to speak. So first of all, when we first initially met in March and established our ground rules, we set dates together, this body. We made it clear that we were unavailable to bargain in the summer, and you and I agreed on a list of dates that went from March to June and then into September. We all agreed on that together. It was after the agreed upon dates and as we approached the end of the school year, you asked if we had dates in June and we were unable to commit to dates in June because in March, we established dates that went from March to June, skipped the summer and picked up again in September. So today's bargaining date was agreed upon back in March. That was clear to you in March. So I'm tired of hearing that you wouldn't negotiate over the summer when we established dates in March. We were unable, and by the time June rolled around and you were asking for June dates, we were unable to commit to June dates because our committee was working other jobs, other commitments, camps, et cetera. So I would like to not bring that up again. We tried to go for a marathon session in August. We asked for more hours than you were able to commit to. So let's leave that in the past and move forward. And I'm going to give this over to Nick to continue.
I just want to say a couple things. One, we will obviously get you something on the other proposals, but some of our proposals have not been responded to either. They just say hold, they say hold. Those are not really responses or counters. So, I mean, you're pointing out the things that we may not have given you something in writing to, but there are some outstanding items from your side as well. So you might want to look at that as well.
So can I reiterate the ask that I had originally, right, which is, we have a session 2 weeks from today on the 23rd. Can we commit to giving initial responses on the outstanding items on both sides by the 23rd?
On all the items in this document.
So you've got 11 or 12 other items on this document that I gave you
Including
today.
wages.
But we'll talk about wages later on tonight. The language items. Can we have written responses by the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
You guys can do the same.
we intend to do the same.
Is there a list?
Yes,
It has the list that you should do.
Oh.
It's.
It's only the-
And then there's.
And then there's-
Yes. So we were able to go through the packet that you gave us.
You gave us this.
The article, it starts with Article 6. So again, we're on board yet still, we're going to do a preliminary review. But seeing as how we only have about an hour left. Responses, we're going to work through as a team and hold just until next session. And we were going to hope to move on with the rest of the planned agenda items about school safety.
And I just reiterate the point that I think Matt's making, right? The initial pulse of both the core bargaining team and the silent reps. This is still a lot to go through. Right? The reality is that we're gonna have to do, just like you folks would, we're gonna have to talk to your principals, et cetera. The bargaining team really feels it's prudent to do a check-in with our members. We're gonna have to make a commitment of doing that and making sure that there's a response for the next session. Again, I think it's not an unfair comment to make sure that the union is responding as well. But I just want to like foreshadow or signal, and I don't think it's lost on you. I mean, maybe, I don't know how. What you folks are asking for is a lot. Is a lot. And, you know, we don't have an official position on this yet, but it's going to be really challenging to overcome some of this. Unless the school committee really dives in, figures out how they can resolve some of the union's issues.
So totally hear you. With the big, some of the proposals that are on the table here are good. It's a big stuff also, and I hear you. Totally assume, talk to members and building reps and everybody. 100% get it. And I just would say like a lot of this, not just today, but a lot of this stuff is deep and big and some of it's new, right? As culture changes in the world. So we hear you, we're all gonna do our best to get these responsive language proposals by the next meeting on the 26th.
So as we talked about, I'm not great at mics. As we had talked about for the agenda for today, we have just pulled out the items that we think are related to safety concerns, right, broadly, and then we want to run through. Some of this is new, some it's our attempt to clarify some of the questions that you guys have asked, and then some of it is we want to revisit some of the things that y'all have rejected and talk about like what the path forward is on those items, because they remain important to me. We are also going to have, which I've been told has been part of the practice here, to have some of our silent rep bargaining team members speak to add some more expertise to some of the items. It's been done before, is what we were told, or what I've seen.
No, it has. We had Brittany McGrail come up and
Brittany.
talk about the need for paper rents. We had that in,
When you made your
Okay.
presentation.
yeah. we-
Yep.
I don't remember.
That was very good. You had a.
Yep.
You had a-
Yep.
So was this a presentation?
This is just, as we go through this document, we have 3 silent reps who are ready to speak to add some perspective. To give context of the proposal and why it's important to the.
We also have those.
Yeah.
Like, those are different.
Those extras.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those.
So we can run through these in the order that they're in the paper, but I'm gonna call up members as we get to the relevant proposal. So first one is Kathy's gonna speak, and then we'll run through this first proposal that's it.
Hi, I'm Kathy Durante, special ed program leader, I don't say liaison at O'Malley Middle School. I want to talk a little bit about the underestimated amount of support needed to meet some of the more vulnerable students in our school system. We really need to recognize that we are not supporting them in the classrooms like we should, because we are short on ESPs. Or ESPs are being pulled to cover other areas, and it's really causing quite a difficulty making sure that their needs are met throughout the whole school system. And that puts some of our members at great risk. I can probably have a poll here in the room of all the people that have had sustained some sort of trauma from students in our school because they did not have the support services. They did not have the support services they needed at the time. And I can only speak to one instance that I sustained some trauma, but I can tell you that if we had a show of hands, just with the small amount of people that are here right now, just a quick show of hands, anybody here sustained any kind of trauma working with students in our schools? This could be physical trauma, emotional trauma. It could be a number of different things that have happened to people. So I think it's really important to recognize that the lack of support that we're providing for some of our most vulnerable students is really impacting the teachers. It impacts the students in the classroom. It impacts other students and the students that are vulnerable as well.
Thanks, Andy. So what we tried to do here with the first proposal on the document was really hone in on the things that our members are saying that they need to support students who are in emotional or behavioral distress, right? So this is something that we had made in the initial proposal to the school committee had then proposed back the concept of behavior support teams at both the district and school level. So we tried to incorporate the behavior support teams, which we think to a degree already exist. And part of our proposal is through here is to follow some of the recommendations that that group was making. Right, so our proposal is to maintain the behavior support teams, to pay them appropriately for the hours that they're working, to implement the professional development recommendations of the teams, right? Not just to hear the recommendations and then not act on them, but to actually have people go through the training. And then the other thing that's come across as very clear from our members is a need for a space for students who are in distress to decompress before they're going back into classrooms. And for that room to be staffed appropriately, and by that we mean an adult who is not a counselor, who is not having their attention pulled in other different directions for other duties, right? Staffing that room is their responsibility. You guys clear on that proposal?
I just have one clarification question. Can I ask you one clarification question? Staffed by a non-counselor, so who do you imagine would be in that room?
I think there's a number of folks who could be in the room. I think the feedback that we got was when there is a counselor staffing the room, that doesn't allow the child to decompress as much as they wanted to, and Dan might be able to speak to it really.
I think the idea is to have an adult, so rather than doing counseling in the moment, to have somebody who can just, here's your decompression notebook, here's your strategy, whatever that kid's strategy is to decompress. Until they can either access a counselor or if they can self-regulate and get back. So the idea is that, at O'Malley, we're now down another adjustment counselor. So our caseloads get shot up. We can't always be available. So someone has to be there so that student is safe out of class and in a space where they can decompress until maybe they do need a counselor, or they might be a kid who's like a tier 1 going tier 2 who has this skill set to self-regulate and then go back to class and maybe doesn't need that counseling. But it really is right now we have some really good tier 3 supports for a limited number of students. But if you're paying attention to the news, tier 1 and tier 2 kids are struggling and need that space to be able to be. It needs to be a body who can monitor them, give them their attention without getting pulled to do other things.
Okay, so we now have a member.
On B, just want to, if you haven't gotten to this level, okay, but in terms of professional development recommendation of behavior support teams, there's a school, one in each school and one at the district level, right? So that's 7. Right, 8. So when it says of the behavior support teams, but no less than one professional development opportunity for all employees annually during contractual time, is that like for every team? So there's one school-based one each school, and maybe I haven't got this detail, and then one additional one across the whole district. I just wasn't quite sure. Oh, and again, you may not have.
So the proposal as written is that every member of the teacher unit gets to go to at least one behavior related training as recommended by one of these teams.
Okay.
Right, so it may be a district-wide training, it may be something that's school by school, but that everybody has at least one training throughout the course of the year.
Great, thank you. That's helpful.
We have a member, Anne Marie, who's going to speak to the next 2 points here about access to IEPs, federal courts, and behavior plans.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Stackhouse, and I am a teacher at Gloucester Public Schools. But tonight I'm talking to you as a mother of a child with special needs and behavioral issues. My child is 8 years old. He is on the autism spectrum and in a sub-separate classroom with one block inclusion. Last week, he flipped 2 desks, tried to bite his teachers, as well as biting and hitting himself. Before the start of school, I sent an email to his new teacher to let her know that this may happen. As a parent, I want everyone working with him to know about his behaviors. How can they protect him if not? How can they protect themselves? My son needs a separate space to calm down with professionals that know how to react in that situation. My child is also nonverbal. He cannot tell me what happens at school, and he cannot tell his teachers why he is acting out. He needs a space away from what set him off to calm him down. It is not fair to the rest of the class to take time away from their learning because schools have not caught up with what students with all kinds of special needs actually need. Sometimes he cannot be removed from the class and the class has to be removed. While this disrupts learning, it is not as detrimental to all if he cannot come down surrounded by 20+ students thrashing himself around and throwing items. There needs to be a designated space staffed with people who are qualified. When he was in preschool, there were multiple incidents that had happened. Due to teacher shortage in his separate classroom, there were substitutes who were not trained in students with special needs and therefore were not given vital information about my son to keep him safe. This is unacceptable. I almost pulled him out then as I feared for his safety. It is important to have a space for children with behavior issues to be able to calm down, or a space for the class to go to if you cannot get the child out safely. I am begging you, as a parent and an educator, please take the safety of our children and teachers seriously, because at this moment, you are not, and it is terrifying as a parent. Thank you.
Thank you, and Marie, so I think she spoke to both that we just talked about previously and these next two about access to these plans. So the clarification from the school committee was, did we intend for this access to extend just to the teacher bargaining unit or folks outside the unit? Our clarified position is we intend for it to apply to everybody who's working with these kids. Right, and that's in the best interest of the students, is if everybody who's working with them has access to all of them. Is that clarification, we just spoke committee to have a response on these? You don't have a response now.
We do not.
Okay. So the next two here that I labeled on the paper, full staff therapy room and student support class staffing. We think those are now addressed by the first proposal that we made.
But so in a sense, crossing this out.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So
So you're withdrawing.
That's good. Yeah.
We are withdrawing in the context of the other proposals that we discussed.
Got it. Yep. So we don't have to look, this language at this point is superseded by the language on in the first ABC, basically, really C, I guess, right? Yeah.
So we're now going to run through another set of issues that was more related to the student safety, but that the school committee's already rejected, right? And I think our overarching question on all of these is, these issues remain important to the union, right? We've explained why they're important, and our hope is to ask you the question here at the table of what do you view as the path forward to try to address this? So discipline and conduct reporting, the proposal is on a monthly basis. Building management will report student discipline, conduct, referral outcome trends to me. Right, we think that level of communication is vitally important, right? So all of our members are aware of what's going on in their buildings. Does the school committee have an idea on how to address this issue?
We're certainly gonna need to talk about that.
Yeah.
It's a issue that's gonna require a lot of discussion.
So you've rejected it before, but I think we're just asking, is there a path to try to address this problem? Right, beyond just.
It's something we'd have to discuss.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is, just as earlier tonight, we gave you a proposal, okay? And you need to work, as you said, eloquently, you need to work through your members and get input from them. We're in the same boat on this one. Okay, we understand that you're putting it, I think, continue to put it forward, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's, we as a negotiating team haven't discussed it until tonight. It's been quite some time. And so we will, consider it again.
Can I ask a clarifying question on that? And I think we're just bogged down with linguistics, but I want to be clear. Sometimes we say, yeah, we need to hold and talk about it, but when we see rejected, the presumption of the union is that you're saying, no, you're rejecting it flat out. So that just, our interpretation of that is that the discussion's over when we see rejected. I could be wrong on that, but that's kind of, there's a difference in the language we use. So if maybe we can just be mindful of that moving forward, that we delineate between what are we holding on to discuss? What are we counter proposing and what do we reject? And just being clear on those nuances.
So, I mean. What I understand, we're pretty clear on, we're clear on that, so,
Right, cool.
yeah, yeah.
Just, I'm not sure all our members are.
So, okay, all right,
When they see rejected, the presumption is no.
right.
Flat out rejected, right? Rather
Sure.
than we're discussing.
And then I think what's happening tonight, okay, is that you guys bring it back and no, it's not good enough, we want you to consider it again. So we hear you on that.
Right, so I think
Okay.
the next level is, we are asking you to reconsider it again, and then the next question is, are you gonna reconsider it again? Or are you firm in the position that you are rejecting this proposal and you don't intend to make progress?
So we need to discuss
Yeah,
it. But I do want to say, if we reject it, we are saying no, right? And then we are hearing you say, we bring it back up, we want you to revisit, and then we're open to that, and we're saying, okay, we'll discuss it, but as far as the linguistics are, you're right, like, hold, reject are different. So, but, and when you bring it back and say, this is important, and we really want you to reconsider, we're gonna do that.
Yes, we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Responses, we will
We will discuss.
reconsider and discuss.
So the pattern on these is gonna be pretty similar, right? We're gonna run through these. These are all issues that are vitally important to the union, right? We have brought them forward. So education, union time, discipline referral response within 2 days, working management will respond and write to the union members. We'll make student discipline conduct referrals. Is that something that you guys think that you can actually have a substantive conversation about path forward?
We will discuss it. We'll discuss it. Can I just ask a question about it before we? When the members, like, okay, so you're a teacher and you make a referral and the student goes to the adjustment counselor or the counselor, a school psychologist, just, you know, you don't know what the next step is, right? You don't necessarily know, maybe that student's back in your class the next day, or maybe they're not. Am I right here? So if you know, right, if this reporting has happened, I know everything's obvious, but I just wanna hear what changes for you if you know, right, the student essentially went to the behavioral counselor or to the PTA or to the school psychologist or whoever they need to go to, the principal, I don't know. And then tell me what, give me more detail about what you need to know at that.
I think that's a great question. Thank you. So when it comes to discussion among members, we have very clear lines of communication. That's one of the things we discuss with our members. Our concern isn't necessarily with member to member communication. If it goes to the administrative level, oftentimes we're not given the follow through proper to understand what's happened, to be able to discuss what the plan is from an administrative perspective, if something is happening, if some sort of discipline was issued or not. And more importantly, we're feeling that our voices oftentimes are not properly heard from those who are not our direct members. That makes sense?
I think so. I'm just,
Okay.
I'm trying
So
to.
I'll give you a concrete example. So Billy, we all love Billy, right? It's a problem child. So Billy.
Billy's fictional, folks. We're not talking about that.
Sorry.
Billy's fictional.
Popular name, so
Yeah.
No, it's okay. Billy verbally assaults a teacher. Says some really inappropriate and directed language. Billy sent to the principal. 40 minutes later, the student walks back in the class. What happened? Where are we going from here? How do we close the loop? But we don't often hear like, is there a consequence? Is there something I can do as an educator to reinforce the change in behavior? It's just kind of left dangling. Or if I have two students that get in a conflict, they go out, they process that with an assistant principal. We don't know what happens. They show up in our classroom the next day. We're supposed to keep them apart. We're putting them together. So there's not a,
So that communication doesn't happen.
what
Correct.
happens is Miss Bailey fills out, because I'm just telling you, because we have a conversation with regularly where she fills out a report as is appropriate. The student, we assume something's happened, but we don't actually know because the loop is never closed. And that's what we're looking for is how do we close the loop so that we're understanding what's happening rather than being left with, did anything happen? Did anybody even talk to that student, or did they sit in the office for 5 minutes and get sent back to class?
And,
We don't know.
and would closing the loop, just a follow on, would closing the loop mean you have like training tools to know what to do when that student is back in your classroom?
I think that's probably something we could discuss amongst ourselves. I think that's a question we need to explore a little bit more. Let's just go through.
Yeah, let's
Do
talk.
that. I
No, no, it's a fair question.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand, because what the benefit, right, just, it sounds like. I mean, you know, that if you know something's happened and that student comes back, right? You, to be the most effective, you want tools to deal with it, right?
It's not that we want tools. We want to know what was said to the student so that we don't contradict management, but I think we need to talk about it. And then we can give you specific examples.
Okay, so a lot of these have to do with students on IEPs and 504s. Is this for all students?
This would be.
All students.
Right,
So we'll take that one to caucus and we'll come back to you with some more feedback. Next proposal on here is educator union policy feedback. I think what we're essentially asking for is for a school committee member with union members. I think that's as straightforward as it can be. Is this something that you guys are maintaining a rejection on, or is this something that you can think through a path forward on how to better communicate between the school committee directly with union members?
I'm sure everybody's aware, we get an annual report at least once, a year from our special education department. And administrators and goings on in schools. It would probably be helpful if people give feedback on those reports if they're not representing what you're seeing, or and I'm curious how the language we put back or these behavioral teams fit into this, because it says union, it doesn't really say a cross section of teams, which may, you know what I mean? Like, it's, to me, there, one is union representation, the other is a team of teachers, and the two may have common participation. So who is it you would like to come, have a discussion?
Sounds like.
So we're asking for a school committee member to meet with union members, like rank and file union members.
Wait, sorry, is this, I mean, it says, this is education union policy feedback, right? So, but it says this is education policy, any education policy, or just specific to education discipline?
Broad education policy, is it, we talking?
Or is it related to the health and safety and specification?
We can talk to some,
Okay, I'm just not clear on that, that's all. Yeah, okay.
but I think broad picture, if you guys could think through like any tools or avenues to increase the communication between the school committee members directly, right, with members of the union, I think that's what.
I think the reason that Kat is asking, because in our counter to on the health and safety, we included a district behavior support team, which included a school committee member. So again, that's why we're not clear if this is related to that or if it's in addition to or separate. So and that's what you clarify.
I think I might have the answer to that.
I'd rather.
So I think it's a fair question. I think it is intended to be more broad. The reality is right now what's going on across the entire country is discussion around cell phones. I think that folks not getting consistent, reliable feedback from educators as you folks are contemplating policies that the superintendent is there to implement feels like a shortcoming, right? And the reality is there's lots of things, whether it's around this dysregulation issue, around what are we doing around vaping in our schools, et cetera, et cetera. This is an opportunity for educators to have direct feedback, a liaison from the school committee, as you folks are contemplating various policies that you all do in the means of your normal business.
So can I just ask a question on that? Because
Yeah.
I'm the chair of the committee that's working on some phone policies.
Yeah.
With that. So we're planning to have a public hearing. So you're saying you would want something more direct than a public hearing. Understanding teachers and educators can always speak at that, but you're saying in addition to that policy, you want a separate avenue.
Yes.
right? That is
Right, especially where the teachers in the trenches are implementing the policies.
I've
as they
seen
come
you
through.
writing about, yeah, so this is a very.
I mean, the cell phone example is a hot button issue, right? We can hit lots of hot button issues.
Right.
I think the point is that you folks could probably be more proactive in trying to address issues going on in the school if you actually had that feedback from educators much more.
And is there a reason why an administrator is not part of that discussion?
If that's your counter, you can make that counter. The reality is that the union is saying, here is a forum in which it's probably in our mutual interest to have a space where we can address school policy concerns, because council will tell you, if we came in and we made a proposal that said no more cell phones, you might make an argument that it's not a mandatory subject. Some of these things are a matter of school policy, and the union should have a say in how things are going on, and it's to both of our respective interests, if we can actually work some of these things out. Again, the cell phone thing is a hot button issue, but like maybe there's something that's going on that's a policy matter that you're not aware of. And that the educators really think, is it really that hard to meet with folks once a year? Like you should be able to TA this right now. This
Well,
feels silly that we can't meet with you folks once a year.
What I'm trying to think about, it's just not nice to decide that is silly. But what I'm thinking about right now is that, like, I as a school committee member, I could sit with you guys, I could listen, I love to hear all this stuff, my kids are in these schools, I love it. And I have no power as an individual person. I cannot say a word. I cannot say, yeah, bring that up. I can't say anything because as a single school committee member, I have no power on my own. Everything we do is all of us by vote. So it's not so simple because then I can't communicate to all 6. I can't send something substantive. I can't say, I got this great policy idea I want you all to see. That is not something I can just email them. That's against the open meeting law. So then we have to have a meeting. So like, it's just not as simple as one person sitting in a room listening. I understand the reasoning, like I get it.
It doesn't have to be one person.
So Laura, you could write a report and send it to them without it being a violation of open meeting law, as long as you don't say, I suggest that we do something.
So can I just
But-
focus up the conversation? Well,
I actually disagree with that.
I want to get through the rest.
That would be a violation of ONO.
Okay.
I think we're asking, can the school committee try to brainstorm and have a note to get more direct feedback from community members?
And I'll just say one more concern is the operational leader of the district and our role as to, we're not the operational leader of the district. So like we'll discuss it. But if it has to do with the operations of the district, the superintendent is the one who we, by education law, that's his role. And it's not our role.
And in a counter, you could include that.
Okay.
Next thing on the list is class sizes, right? This is maybe a broader issue. The union's proposed removing the to the greatest extent possible language and have actual class size caps. Is this something that the school committee can entertain? It is still vitally important to the union members.
I think again, this is something we need to talk about.
So we're asking if you,
But it's something that you can actually have a conversation.
that's, we're asking you specific.
We will reconsider,
That, yep.
we'll have
gonna
a
have to go
conversation.
back and
We're asking
take
us
a
to
look at it.
reconsider and we'll do that and we'll have.
We have another member named Lisa who's going to speak for a moment about service provider caseloads.
I'm actually going to sit here if that's okay, because although I'm speaking, I think I speak for all of us. I'm on my 10th year here in Gloucester. We start the year every year. I'm a school adjustment counselor at an elementary school. And I believe that we are the best case scenario. So when I tell you about my caseload and what's going on at my school, I can guarantee it's probably 10 times worse in the other schools. And I know that because we meet once a month as a whole district of counselors. And I'm usually the quiet one at those meetings because I cross my fingers that it's not happening to us at my school. It is this year. we come in every year to. The implication is we need to do more with less, and we need to be happy about that. I love my job. I love coming to school. Anyone who knows me, I smile all the time. I love what I do and I love the kids. I hear over and over, it's going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. This year, it's not fine, and I am truly concerned about the safety of our students in our schools. I have a caseload of 380 kids. That is every kid in my school. I am the only counselor there, and I love doing that. I teach 18 30-minute classes a week, of which I have 0 prep time. I do not get a lunch, and I haven't got a lunch in 8 years. Because someone is either at my door, I'm being called on a walkie-talkie to go somewhere, and I can't say no. In fact, I was literally using the restroom, and someone said, "Why didn't you answer your walkie?" And this is how the day goes from the minute I walk in the door. I come in 1 hour every day to do my prep time because I have no time. And this is a program that has been research-based to help those 380 students, hopefully that they don't become behavioral or do not have mental health needs unmet as they go through the course of their educational experience. We talk about room staffing. I have, let's see, 15 IEP students that I see individually and in small groups, in addition to the 18 classes that I teach. So I am one single adjustment counselor that has the best case scenario. In the other schools, they have upwards, I can't even imagine how many now. We have an influx of student need from other districts this year. I was told about a month ago that I am now in charge of a therapeutic program in our school that I was not consulted on. I had no input about, and I don't even know the name of it. And I have to service 3 students in that program, of which I do have very little experience with, and be a clinical consult, as well as someone who has to go. So if I'm teaching one of my 380 kids and I get called on the walkie, which is very frequently, I cannot service them. I have to leave. And there's no one to take my place. I am the only adjustment counselor in my building. And I absolutely love what I do. So I do stay late, and I do come in early, and I do meet with parents, and I do make those phone calls after work. And I do all of that because I love it. I carry on my cell phone for any teacher who needs my assistance. And that is going on all day long. So there's just not enough of us. And we're being asked to do even more this year because they've cut at least 3 of our mental health professionals in this district that I know about. Not even sure if there's more because I'm so overwhelmed with trying to get my kids ready. And it's not fair, and it's probably the first year, and I'm young. I have a lot of years to retirement, but I'm debating if this is the job for me. We just do not have enough support in our school system, and it's really upsetting for me because I love it. I love what I do, and we can meet these needs. We can absolutely do it if we have enough people in our buildings on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So service provider caseloads, as you can hear, some of these folks are really struggling with workload expectations in the schools. We typically number 15 of the caseload cap. Our ask is, can you guys put some thought into a number to propose back to us, right, rather than just rejecting the proposal?
Good question. Lisa, did you say you had 18 or 18?
I teach 18 classes.
Yeah.
And I have 15 IEP students.
59, that's what.
And that's low. Low.
So like the other issues, is this something the school committee can put some more thought into on how to come back and figure out a path forward? Next proposal, overage differentials, deals with the 2 previous proposals on what happens if the district absolutely needs to go over those numbers. Right, so I think it lumps in with those 2 as you're reconsidering class sizes, as you're reconsidering caseloads. Think about how we accommodate teachers who are absolutely forced to go over those numbers for reasons, you know, beyond the teacher's control, reasons beyond the district's control. And then last thing here is inclusion co-teachers for any inclusion class or classroom with greater than 40% of the students on an IEP 504 or designated ELLs. that class shall have a dedicated co-taught class with a special ed teacher or a teacher of ESL. Is this kind of staffing proposal something that the school committee can reconsider?
Is this for class sizes of any size? What if the class is 10 kids?
if it's a percentage, so.
If that's 10 versus 22, 40%. You want an extra educator, another educator.
That's their proposal.
That's the proposal. We can caucus.
I understand.
In terms of, I'm just going back a couple steps, related service providers. Can you just, in the next time we talk about this, just be clear which ones you mean? That can be interpreted a lot of different ways. And so to be concrete on that would be helpful.
Yes, we can.
Okay. That was external.
So those are the issues that the union brought forward. They're still extremely important, right? You've heard from 3 of the members today, but you've heard from many others over the course of this process about why they're important. And we hope that we can hear back from you guys with some tangible responses on how that proceeds.
So when the school committee gave a counter to health and safety, and I think we did that in May. Yeah, in May. The counter proposal included a number of things that you haven't mentioned at all tonight or even written in this document. I'll just give you, for instance, so defining roles and responsibilities for, so the school committee proposal had to do with not only responses to behavior or health safety concerns, but also proactively addressing them. Okay. And then also talked about the behavior support teams, both at the school level and district level, looking data on positive, negative classroom behavior, looking for trends within school-related behavior, and so and the other specifics both on the district and school-wide behavior support teams. Should we imply that you've rejected those because you haven't included them in this document and don't want to lose sight of them? So if you can either clarify that now or the next time we discuss health and safety, it'd be helpful. Because it's silent on what the counter proposals were.
So you're talking about specifically under those 2 teams?
Yeah, exactly. So there are, I think, 3 or 4 bullets under each one, or actually maybe 4, at least 4, I guess, under each one, which is specific, work of those teams. And don't understand from your counter here whether or not on the first page, whether that work is what your response is to that proposed work of the teams and sort of goals of the teams.
We
Does that make
can
sense?
clarify in caucus, right? And I think what we want to get a handle on is how much of this is already being done by the teams, right? Because we will oppose maintaining the teams that you already have.
Right, but then there's all these proposals here that haven't been responded to.
So we'll get back to you.
Right.
So just being mindful of time here, it's 6:45, we're done at 7. Could we have a quick, we're gonna take a quick caucus. Bill, I'll text you in about 10 minutes.
But before we go, so it would be helpful. So the way we've sort of created the agendas for these negotiation sessions has been the sort of 2 chairs communicating afterward. I'm wondering if we could spend some time before we go, and understand not much time, to actually decide upon what the next session will focus on. And then maybe, and so.
Yeah.
That be the focus of the caucus?
We can talk about that. That's one thing to bring up quickly.
Okay.
Remind me, because I don't have them in front of me, on our ground rules. If we go over, is it 30 minutes? Do we have to vote to stay longer, or is it 15? I don't.
To extend, yeah, I can't remember actually.
Can we just have a 10-minute caucus and then we
Yeah.
can?
10 minutes.
Yeah, I have a hard stop at 7.
Okay, we're gonna stop at 7. Yeah, no worries. Yep. No.
You got places for people
Yeah, I
to
think
go.
that you got a hard stop at seven, is that?
That's gonna.
You'll be there. And then in the break too.
Yeah.
No.
So something you said? Was this something we said?
Probably something I said.
Yeah, something she said.
Yeah. Write it down for next time.
Okay. Oh, did you finish? So we have a couple of. We're just gonna go on
You have more things related to what we're talking about tonight?
we're just talking about an agenda for next week. Okay.
So we have talked, we plan on bringing forward a more fleshed out position on compensation from the union. Our hope, our expectation would be that the school committee is able to do the same, right? And that we are able to have a conversation about all items related. On the 23rd.
What about the response to articles for the
Yeah.
subject presented?
Response to Article 6, I believe you said you have a response to that.
We may have a response for that as well, but I'm flagging that we will definitely have a position on wages, and our hope will be that the school committee does this. We may have other stuff beyond that.
I thought I heard that we would get a response on Article 6, but.
Well, let's go through what we.
Yeah, we will,
What we were proposing.
yeah, what we would propose is parental leave, we will respond to parental leave.
But if we're doing wages, if we're switching around, we may start with wages.
You did link those prior, saying you couldn't respond to that one until you had a wage proposal, so I think that you should be able to do both.
Yeah.
That's a long conversation though, and it's the way we've been operating, I think thankfully, is having really deep conversations. So.
So we're definitely bringing wages, so you're considering parental leave, you might flip it if we're gonna do wages.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we just have to talk that through.
Yeah.
Because we had a whole different idea here.
Yeah.
Can we actually, before we depart, do a 30-second caucus?
By the time we leave, it's 30 seconds.
Well, maybe we just do a quick sidebar with a few people. Council, if you want to bring a couple folks, we want to talk something in a sidebar.
And we'll just go over
I
the
don't-
stacks.
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't
Yeah,
I don't understand what you're saying.
Folks want to have a quick sidebar to talk about the agenda.
Why can't we do that here?
They want it.
Because we wanted a sidebar.
If you don't want to do that, that's up to you folks, but we want to help communicate something to plan for next week.
We don't caucus with you.
We thought you were doing that in your caucus and we were doing that.
No, we do.
That sounds like
Yes.
you
Okay.
made it clear what you want to talk about.
No, that's what they're discussing, I think. So, yeah, so,
If you'd like to, we can.
yes.
Yes.
No, sorry,
No,
that was not for, that was for you guys, that was for you. You guys were very eager, that was for my guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm saying 30 seconds. I was saying if we all walk and leave, it's like another 30 seconds. So they wanted to,
Oh, okay, you guys wanted, yeah, I thought you were saying with us.
Big sidebar.
The employer.
We want a sidebar.
oh, with us.
Yes.
Oh, I-
That's what I was trying
Somewhere.
yes, so there's a
Oh.
little miscommunication here, yes.
I misunderstood.
Yes, so that's, if you're comfortable with it, we haven't done that before.
Yeah, we never.
I'm not really clear on why it's needed, because I think we're just talking, about it, but it's up to you guys.
You're the council.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's no reason why we can't talk about this in open with you guys right now.
Or alternatively, you guys can send thoughts back and forth like we've done in the past. And decided, and we should do that probably within 48 hours to make sure we don't the agenda because as you know, we need to post our meetings. We do have meetings on our schedule as it is still planned for these things, but depending upon what that agenda is, we may need to add more or.
Sure. Speaking of adding more.
So I'll reiterate again, we are gonna bring a position on wages that is more fleshed out. We're also hoping that there might be some more availability on the school committee's end at a third session in October.
Looked at quite a few dates in October.
Yeah, I
We
think,
looked at, I don't have them in front of me.
We gave you almost every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right.
yeah, we.
Monday or
Monday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We were exhaustive, and you guys gave us a lot of dates, and we went over all of them, yeah.
And the
Um,
availability system.
I mean,
Yeah, there was a
it
reason.
goes the other way, you know, things tend to get more scheduled rather than less scheduled as time goes by, so. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we
if
looked
you-
at all the dates you gave us and.
Yeah, and we have, how many do we have in October right now?
We want to look some.
Yeah, and then I think we had November too.
And then we have more dates.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a slew of
Just add a
dates
couple
on the
of-
books.
yeah, no. Yeah,
I think we need the
Yeah.
appropriate amount of time in between meetings.
yeah, also we just couldn't. So wages, hopefully a response to Article 6.
We would like a response to Article 6.
Yes, we asked for that and Nick. Okay, sorry. Nick said we will hope. We would like that. And
Yeah.
It's not.
And the other proposals.
Yes.
Right, and then we have other proposals that haven't been responded to. And so,
Which we'll do as well.
And we will
and we have your,
present something on parental. leave.
well,
We'll,
No, we have to.
no, Bill,
We can't,
we can't,
two big topics.
so we're
Very
not
gonna be
sure.
tough, yeah.
We're not sure. Because that changed.
I think the parties would benefit from a quick sidebar.
I do too.
Yes.
I think, I really think it's something that we can do offline and we have a time crunch as already is, so. If you wanna talk to me afterwards, I'm happy to talk to you, but for right now, I mean, we've got where we are.
I think that's what we're.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
In terms of, I'm happy to talk to Eric, it's a little more with all of you, but,
Ben.
You're gonna talk to Dan.
Yeah.
okay,
Eric's
hard to know.
Eric's my buddy.
All right. So.
good, we'll be in touch. Thank you. Thank you.
Might wanna make one.
Oh, thank you, Rich. Forgot.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks, Grant.
We don't have to do it.